Robert Baratheon never liked politics. He liked wine, hunting, and loud laughter. But that morning in King's Landing, something felt different. The crown was heavy on his head, heavier than usual, and the noise in the Red Keep felt wrong. Too quiet, too careful. He sat on the Iron Throne, bored and restless, when Jon Arryn's words echoed again in his mind. "The realm is breaking, Robert. Wolves and lions will tear it apart if you don't bind them together." Robert hated that Jon was dead. He hated that the court now smelled of secrets instead of loyalty. And more than anything, he hated that his best friend and his most powerful lord were slowly drifting toward opposite sides of a future war. So he made a decision, a dangerous one. He summoned Eddard Stark and Tywin Lannister to the throne room at the same time. That alone shocked the court. Ned Stark arrived first, dressed in plain dark clothes, his face calm but cold. He stood straight like a man who never learned how to bow properly. He didn't trust King's Landing, and it showed in his eyes. Tywin Lannister arrived later, as expected, gold and crimson, clean, sharp. His steps were slow and controlled, like every move was planned years ago. His eyes briefly met Ned's, and there was no warmth there, only old memories and silent judgment. Robert smiled like a fool seeing trouble about to start. "Ned!" Robert boomed. "Tywin! Gods, look at you both. The realm's strongest wolf and richest lion standing in my hall." Jon Arryn would laugh his beard off if he saw this. Neither man smiled. Robert leaned forward. "Sit, both of you." They did. "I'll be straight," Robert said, waving away servants. "This realm is sick. Everyone's whispering. Everyone's choosing sides. I will have another rebellion under my crown." Tywin's voice was calm. "The realm needs strong rule, Your Grace. Stability comes from fear and order." Ned's reply came quick. "It comes from justice." Robert groaned. "See, that's exactly what I mean. You two speak different languages, but you both want the same thing, a realm that doesn't burn." Silence followed. Robert stood up, gripping the arm of the throne. "I'm done letting Lannisters rule through gold and Starks rule through honor alone. I want both." Tywin's eyes narrowed slightly. "And how do you plan to do that?" Robert grinned. "By binding you together so tight you can't stab each other without bleeding your souls." Ned frowned. "Robert, I don't like riddles." "Good," Robert said, "because this isn't one. Ned, you'll remain Hand of the King, full authority. My voice when I'm drunk, hunting, or asleep." Ned looked uncomfortable already. Robert turned to Tywin. "And you, old lion, will return to court as Master of Coin and Warden of the West, in truth, not just in name. No more working through my wife." That hit harder than Robert expected. Tywin's jaw tightened. "Cersei is the queen, and she's my queen," Robert snapped. "But this isn't about her. It's about you and Ned, learning to stand in the same shadow." Ned finally spoke again. "You want us to work together. I want you to trust each other," Robert said, "or at least fear disappointing me more than you fear each other." Tywin studied Ned carefully now. "The Stark name is clean," he said slowly. "Too clean for this city." Ned met his gaze. "And the Lannister name is heavy. Too heavy with debt and blood." The air felt sharp. Robert laughed loudly. "Perfect. Gods, Jon would be proud. Listen carefully, both of you. If either house moves against the other without my word, I'll crush it. Wolf or lion, I don't care." That shocked the room. Robert stepped down from the throne and stood between them. "I won this throne with your father's gold and your brother's sword, Ned. I won't lose it because you two can't stand each other." For the first time, Tywin inclined his head slightly. "If this alliance serves the realm, I will honor it." Ned hesitated, then nodded. "For the realm, and for you, Robert." Robert clapped both men on the shoulders. "Good, because if this works, no one will ever dare challenge the Iron Throne again." But neither Ned nor Tywin missed the truth. If this failed, the realm wouldn't just bleed, it would drown. The news spread through the Red Keep faster than fire through dry grass. Cersei Lannister heard it first from Varys, who enjoyed watching faces change more than speaking the words themselves. She sat near the window when he told her, sunlight catching in her golden hair, making her look calm even when she was anything but. "My father, serving under Eddard Stark," she said softly. Varys smiled. "Serving with him, your grace." Her hand tightened around the goblet. "Robert is a fool." That same evening, the small council met, and for the first time in years, the room felt divided in a new way, not between crown and council, but inside the Lannister power itself. Tywin sat straight, unmoved by the looks thrown his way. Ned Stark sat across from him, stiff and uncomfortable, already hating the smell of politics in the room. Littlefinger leaned back, amused, his eyes jumping between the wolf and the lion like a man watching a game he intended to cheat in. Robert arrived late, drunk, as always. "Ah, look at that," he laughed. "No one's killed anyone yet. I call that progress." Ned ignored the joke. "The crown is in debt. Deeply." Tywin spoke calmly. "Which is why the crown will now stop borrowing from itself." Littlefinger's smile faded slightly. "Careful, Lord Tywin. Some debts are useful." Tywin's eyes cut to him like knives. "Only to men who profit from chaos." The room went quiet. That was the first sign. Over the next days, Ned and Tywin were forced together again and again, reviewing taxes, judging disputes, signing orders. They spoke little, but when they did, it was sharp and direct. No games, no soft lies, and that terrified the court. Varys watched silently, already planning. Littlefinger smiled less and listened more. Renly laughed it off, but Loras Tyrell began sending letters south, because for the first time power in King's Landing was becoming clean, and clean power leaves no place to hide. Cersei confronted her father in his chambers that night. "You're letting Stark sit above you," she said coldly. Tywin didn't look up from his papers. "I'm letting him expose the rot. And what happens when he looks at us?" She snapped. Tywin finally met her eyes. "Then we make sure there is nothing to find." Cersei laughed bitterly. "You trust him?" "No," Tywin said. "I trust his honor, and I trust Robert's fear." That answer did not comfort her. Meanwhile, Ned Stark was learning just how deep the rot truly went. The crown's gold was missing, not spent, not stolen in the open, hidden, shifted, disguised, and every trail led back to smiling men with soft voices. "This city rewards liars," Ned muttered one night, as he and Tywin reviewed accounts by candlelight. Tywin replied, "Which is why truth, when used properly, becomes a weapon." Ned looked at him sharply. "You don't believe that?" Tywin's voice was low. "I believe anything that keeps my house alive." That was the second sign. Trouble came from the streets. A riot broke out near Flea Bottom when gold cloaks tried to collect new taxes. Blood was spilled. A child was trampled. The crowd screamed Stark and Lannister curses in the same breath. Robert wanted to smash something. Ned wanted justice. Tywin wanted control. Together, they did something no one expected. Ned personally walked into Flea Bottom with the gold cloaks, unarmed. Tywin followed, with Lannister guards holding back, not threatening, just watching. Ned listened to the people. He promised relief. Tywin ordered grain released from Lannister stores at half cost. The riot ended. The city whispered. For the first time, wolf and lion were not tearing each other apart. They were standing side by side. That scared everyone who fed on chaos. That night, an assassin crept into the Red Keep. Not for Robert, not for Tywin, for Ned Stark. The blade struck, but it did not kill. A scream rang through the halls. Blood-stained stone. Tywin arrived first. He saw Ned on the floor, wounded but alive, and something rare crossed his face. Anger. "Find who sent him," Tywin ordered. "Burn their name into the walls if you must." Robert arrived moments later, white-faced with rage. "This is war," he roared. "Someone just declared it." Ned, pale but conscious, grabbed Robert's arm. "No, this is fear." Tywin nodded slowly, and fearful men make mistakes. Outside the room, Varys listened and smiled. The wound in Ned Stark's side was clean, but the message behind it was not. Robert ordered the gates sealed that same night. No one left King's Landing without his word. The Red Keep turned tense, heavy with suspicion. Guards were doubled. Whispers died the moment a Stark or Lannister banner passed. Ned lay in bed, awake, staring at the ceiling. Pain he could handle. Lies were worse. Tywin stood near the window when the maester finally left them alone. "You were meant to die," Tywin said plainly. Ned nodded. "Which means someone is afraid of what I might find." Tywin's eyes were hard. "Or what you already know." That was when Ned spoke the words he had been holding back. "The royal children," he said quietly. They didn't look like Robert. The room felt colder. Tywin did not react at first. When he did, it was slow, careful. "Many children resemble their mothers. Not like this," Ned said. "I've seen Robert's bastards. Black hair, strong build. These children are all golden." Tywin turned away, his jaw all golden. Tywin turned away, his jaw tightening. "Choose your next words wisely." Ned forced himself to sit up despite the pain. "I swore to serve the realm, not a lie wearing a crown." Tywin faced him fully now. "And if that lie's the only thing holding the realm together?" Ned's voice was firm. "Then the realm is already broken." For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Tywin said something Ned never expected. "If this secret becomes a weapon, it will destroy us all." Ned frowned. "Us. My house. Yours. My house." "The king," Tywin said, "because war will not care who was right." That was the third sign. The next morning, Cersei came to see Ned. She dismissed the guards herself. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp with panic buried deep. "You always were too honorable," she said. "It makes you blind." Ned looked at her steadily. "It makes me see clearly." She stepped closer. "If you speak of this, Robert will kill my children." Ned's voice softened just a little. "He deserves the truth, and they deserve to live," Cersei snapped. "Say nothing, and I swear you will leave King's Landing alive." Ned shook his head. "Threats won't change what is right." Cersei smiled thinly. "Then let me try something else." She leaned close. "My father will not choose you over his blood." That evening, Tywin was summoned by Robert. The king was drunk, furious, pacing like a trapped beast. "Tell me," Robert demanded, "are the rumors true?" Tywin did not answer immediately. "Say it," Robert roared. Tywin spoke slowly. "There are questions that, once asked, cannot be unasked." Robert grabbed him by the collar. "Jon Arryn died asking questions, and you will die if you ignore them," Tywin replied coldly. Robert released him, breathing hard. "Is she lying to me?" Tywin's silence was answer enough. The king collapsed into a chair, laughter bubbling up, broken and ugly. "All these years," he muttered. "All these damn years." Ned was brought in shortly after, pale but standing. Robert looked at him. "You knew." "I suspected," Ned said. "I was going to tell you." Robert nodded slowly. "Good, because if you hadn't, I'd have killed you myself." The room shook with what came next. Robert did not scream. He did not rage. He grew quiet. "Here's what will happen," he said. "Cersei and the children will leave King's Landing under guard, peacefully." Tywin stiffened. "Exile, protection," Robert said. "From me." Cersei burst into the room then, fury blazing. "You can't do this." Robert stood. "I can, and I will." She turned to her father. "Say something." All eyes fell on Tywin Lannister. For the first time in his life, Tywin stood between crown and blood. He looked at Cersei, then at Robert, then at Ned Stark. Finally he said, "The children will go," quietly. Cersei stared at him in disbelief. "Father." "Enough," Tywin said. "Your game has ended." That night, plans were made, but someone moved faster. Before dawn, a ship left the harbor without permission, and Jaime Lannister was missing. Varys watched the ship disappear into the fog. his smile thin and sharp. "The lions run," he whispered, "and when they return, the realm will burn." Jaime Lannister did not ride alone. By the time Robert learned he was gone, the Kingsguard Tower was already empty, one white cloak missing, another torn and left behind like a warning. Jaime had taken gold, weapons, and 3 men loyal only to him. He rode hard for the west, toward Casterly Rock. Robert stared at the torn cloak in silence. "So," he said finally, his voice low, "the pretty knight chooses his sister." Ned stood beside him, pain still slowing his movements. "He's afraid." "He should be," Robert replied. Tywin arrived soon after, summoned by the king's fury. When Robert told him Jaime had fled, something cracked behind Tywin's calm mask. Not fear, rage. "He's a fool," Tywin said. "Running confirms guilt." Robert slammed his fist into the table. "Your son broke his oath. Your daughter broke my bed. Tell me why I shouldn't burn your house to the ground." Tywin met his eyes without flinching. "Because if you do, half the realm will rise with me, and the other half will bleed." Silence followed. Then Ned spoke. "This doesn't have to become war." Robert laughed bitterly. "Everything becomes war, Ned." But still he listened. The plan was fragile, built on trust that barely existed. Cersei and the children would leave at sunrise under heavy guard. Jaime would be declared a traitor, not yet an enemy. Tywin would send ravens ordering him to return or be disowned, and Robert would live. That last part was more hope than certainty. That night Ned could not sleep. He walked the halls slowly, guarded by men he barely trusted. The Red Keep felt wrong. Too quiet. Too many doors. Too many shadows. He reached the small godswood, empty and dark. Someone stepped out from behind the trees. "Littlefinger." "You shouldn't walk alone," Peter said lightly. "Dangerous times." Ned's hand rested on his sword. "What do you want?" Peter smiled. "To save you, and myself." "I don't trust you." "I know," Petyr said. "That's why this works." He leaned closer. "Robert won't survive this. Too many knives want him dead." Ned's eyes narrowed. "You're threatening him?" Petyr laughed. "Gods no. I'm warning you. When he dies, the realm will need a regent. Someone honorable. Someone strong." Ned felt cold. "Get out of my sight." Petyr bowed slightly. "Think on it." Elsewhere in the castle, Cersei packed in silence. Her children slept, unaware. She kissed each of them softly, tears burning her eyes. Rage twisted inside her, sharp and poisonous. She had lost, or so it seemed. Before dawn, chaos erupted. Shouts echoed through the Red Keep. Steel rang. A guard came running, blood on his face. "The king!" he cried. "The king!" he cried. "The king's been stabbed." Ned ran. Robert lay in his chambers, blood soaking the sheets, a knife buried deep in his side. His eyes were open, wild but alive. "Boar?" Ned whispered. Robert laughed weakly. "No, man." Tywin arrived, moments later. One look told him everything. "This was no Lannister blade," he said coldly. Robert grabbed Ned's arm. "Listen, if I die, you won't," Ned said fiercely. But Robert shook his head. "You'll rule, with Tywin. Promise me?" Ned looked at Tywin. Tywin nodded once. "I swear it." The assassin was caught before he could flee. He confessed quickly. Gold. Promises. A name whispered into his ear. Petyr Baelish. Littlefinger vanished before the sun fully rose. Robert lived. Barely. The realm held its breath. Cersei was arrested before she could flee. She screamed, cursed, spat venom at everyone, especially her father. "You chose them over me," she hissed. "I chose survival," Tywin replied. Jaime reached the Riverlands when a raven found him. "Return, or you are no son of mine." He crushed the letter in his fist. War was coming, not between Stark and Lannister, but between truth and ambition, and the realm would soon learn which was stronger. Robert Baratheon did not die. That alone changed everything. The small council chamber felt different when he finally walked in, again thinner, paler, but alive. His laugh was weaker, yet his eyes were sharper than they had been in years. The near death had burned something away. What remained was dangerous. "You all look disappointed," Robert said, sinking into his chair. "Sorry to ruin your plans." No one laughed. Ned stood at his side, steady as stone. Tywin sat across from him, hands folded, watching everything. The balance of the realm now rested on three men who had once trusted each other in very different ways. Robert spoke first. "Petyr Baelish is a traitor. His lands are seized. Any lord hiding him will be treated the same." Murmurs filled the room. "Cersei Lannister remains confined," Robert continued. "The children are under royal protection." Tywin inclined his head. As agreed, that agreement had cost blood. Jaime Lannister received the news while riding through the Riverlands. Robert alive, Cersei imprisoned, his name whispered with treason. He laughed bitterly. "So," he said to no one, "the lion eats its own." His men watched him carefully. Jaime turned his horse south. He did not go to Casterly-Brock. He went to the twins. Walder Frey welcomed him with shaking hands and greedy eyes. "Kingslayer," he said, "or should I call you Oathbreaker?" Jaime smiled. "Call me whatever keeps your gates open." That was when ravens began flying across the realm. The Tyrells gathered their banners. The Martells watched in silence. The Greyjoys smelled weakness. But the first real blow came from the west. A Lannister host, not under Tywin's command, marched under a new banner-gold lion, blood-red claws, Jaime's banner. When the news reached King's Landing, Robert laughed hard. "Your son started his own war," he said to Tywin. Tywin's face darkened. "Then I will end it." Ned frowned. "By force, by blood," Tywin said, "or by example." Robert slammed his hand on the table. "No more secret wars, I ride." That shocked everyone. "You can't," Ned said. "You're not healed." Robert grinned. "I didn't heal to sit." Against all advice, the king rode with the host slow, guarded, but present. The sight of him rallied banners that had wavered. The first clash came near the Trident. Jaime led from the front, shining in armor, fearless as ever. But this was not the war he remembered. The enemy banners were confused. Stark direwolves rode beside crowned stags. Lannister men hesitated when they saw Tywin's stags. Lannister men hesitated when they saw Tywin's standards opposing Jaime's. Steel met steel. Ned Stark did not seek glory. He commanded. Tywin did not seek mercy. He crushed. Robert fought like a man who had nothing left to lose. Jaime saw his father across the field. For a moment, the world narrowed. They met amid blood and screams. "Stand down," Tywin commanded. "This ends now." Jaime laughed. "You chose them. I chose the house," Tywin said. "You chose yourself." Their blades clashed. Ned arrived too late to stop it, but not too late to see it. Jaime disarmed Tywin but did not kill him. Instead, he dropped his sword. "I won't fight my father," Jaime said quietly, "but I won't kneel to lies." Robert rode up then, breathing hard. "Kneel to me," he said, "and live." Jaime looked at the king he once saved and betrayed. Slowly, he knelt. The battle ended. Jaime was taken into custody, not in chains but under guard. His rebellion collapsed without him. That night, Ned stood outside Jaime's tent. "You could have run," Ned said. Jaime smirked. "I'm tired of running." Inside King's Landing, something else moved. Varys received a letter sealed in black. He read it once, then burned it. Because across the narrow sea, the dragon had stirred, and the realm was not ready. The road back to King's Landing was heavy with silence. Jaime rode in the center of the column, guarded but not bound. That alone confused the men. A traitor was supposed to wear chains. A rebel was supposed to be broken. Jaime was neither. He rode with his head high, golden armor, dulled by dust and blood. Robert watched him often. "You should have killed him," Robert muttered one evening by the fire. Tywin did not look up. Dead sons teach no lessons. Ned said nothing, but he knew judgment was coming, and it would decide the future of the realm. When they reached King's Landing, the city held its breath. Crowds filled the streets, waiting to see whether the king would roar or rule. The great hall was packed. Cersei was brought in first, pale but proud, chains at her wrists. When she saw Jaime, her face broke for the first time. Then Robert entered. He did not sit on the Iron Throne. He stood before it. "This is not a trial for comfort," Robert said. "This is a trial for truth." He turned to Jaime. "You broke your vows. You raised banners against your king." Jaime met his eyes. "I protected my family." Robert nodded. "So did I once." The room was silent. "Your punishment," Robert continued, "is life." Gasps echoed. "You will take the black," Robert said. "Tonight," Cersei screamed. "No." Tywin closed his eyes for just a moment. Jaime exhaled slowly. "Fair." Cersei was next. "Your crimes are deeper," Robert said. "But your children are innocent." He paused. The roan leaned in. "You will live," he said, "but never rule. You will be sent to Casterly Rock, under guard. You will never return to court." Cersei laughed, hollow and broken. "You think this ends me?" Robert's voice was cold. "I know it does." She was dragged away, screaming promises of fire and blood. When it was done, Ned felt no victory, only weight. That night, Tywin came to him privately. "You spared my house," Tywin said. "I spared the realm," Ned replied. Tywin nodded. "The difference matters." Far to the east, the difference did not matter at all. Across the narrow sea, Daenerys Targaryen stepped into the ashes of her husband's pyre. Fire rose. Screams echoed. And when the flames died, dragons cried out for the first time in a century. In King's Landing, Varys felt it before he heard it. "Power," he whispered. "True power." Ravens arrived days later. Reports of a silver-haired queen, of living dragons, of cities whispering her name. Robert laughed when he heard. "Dragons? I killed their kind once." But Ned did not laugh. "History doesn't stay dead," he said quietly. Tywin agreed. "And fire changes the rules." The alliance held, for now. But winter was coming, and so was fire. The first dragon died screaming. That was how the realm learned that old victories meant nothing now. The news came from the east, carried by frightened traders and half-mad sailors. One of Daenerys Targaryen's young dragons had attacked a slaver fleet near Karth. The ships burned, but Scorpion's huge iron crossbows had torn the dragon from the sky. Its body fell into the sea, boiling the water around it. In King's Landing, the small council listened in silence. "So they can die," Robert said at last. "Good." Tywin's voice was calm. "So can kings." Ned felt the chill. "And wars." Robert snorted. "Let her come. I'll smash her like the rest." But this time no one joined his laughter. The realm was already shifting. The north was restless. The Iron Islands armed ships. Dawn sent quiet messages, careful and slow. Every lord now asked the same question in secret: who will survive what's coming? Ned Stark stood on the walls of King's Landing that night, looking north. He missed the cold. He missed honesty. He missed knowing where danger came from. Tywin joined him. "You should return to Winterfell," Tywin said. "The North will follow you better than any raven." "And leave you here?" Ned asked. Tywin almost smiled. "Someone must keep the snakes busy." Before Ned could answer, horns sounded from the harbor. A ship had arrived under a black sail. No banner, no name. Varys read the message brought ashore, his hands trembling just slightly. "She is coming," he said. "Not with an army." Robert frowned. Then with what? An offer. The offer came 3 days later. A woman stood before the Iron Throne, dark-skinned, dressed in foreign silk, eyes sharp with purpose. She bowed deeply. "I speak for Queen Daenerys Stormborn," she said. "She offers peace." Robert laughed. "Peace?" Robert laughed. "Peace? After a century of running?" The woman did not flinch. She offers marriage. The hall exploded. To whom? Robert demanded. To your heir, the woman said. Or to the king himself if he wishes. Silence followed. Ned felt sick. Tywin spoke first. This is a trap. The woman smiled. All politics are. Robert stared at the throne. His hand shook slightly. Leave us, he said. When the doors closed, Robert sank onto the steps below the throne. I'm tired, he admitted. Tired of killing ghosts. Ned, note beside him. Then don't become one. Tywin's voice was firm. Marriage will not save us. Strength will. Robert looked at both men. You stood by me when no one else would. Tell me the truth. Ned said it first. If she comes with dragons, the realm burns. Tywin added, if we refuse, she comes with dragons. That was the truth. The decision was made before dawn. The offer was refused. War was certain. Ravens flew. The north was called. The west armed. The Reach hesitated, then chose the crown. The Iron Islands smelled blood and began raiding. Across the sea, Daenerys burned the answer into the sand. In the north, Jon Snow looked south as banners were raised. Beyond the wall, something else stirred. In King's Landing, Robert stood between Ned and Tywin once more. Whatever happens, he said, we face it together. Ned nodded. Tywin agreed. For the first time in history, wolf, lion, and stag stood united, not against each other, but against fire and ice both. And the game was no longer about thrones. It was about survival. The first dragon shadow fell on Westeros at dawn. It crossed the narrow sea like a moving storm, darkening water and sky alike. Bells rang in King's Landing, not in panic, but in warning. The people looked up and remembered old stories they thought were dead. Robert Baratheon stood on the walls, wind pulling at his cloak. So, he said quietly, she came anyway. Beside him, Ned Stark's face was hard. She was never going to stop. Tywin watched the sky with careful eyes. Then we end this quickly. Daenerys did not attack the city. She landed outside it. Her army was smaller than feared. No massive host. No endless soldiers. Just discipline, fire, and belief. 2 dragons circled above her like living gods. Robert rode out to meet her. No crown, no armor, just a hammer at his side. Ned and Tywin followed, banners behind them, stag, wolf, and lion together. Daenerys dismounted when she saw them. She was younger than Robert expected, smaller, but her eyes held fire and loss. You stole my family's throne, she said. Robert nodded. I did. I can burn this city, she said calmly. I know, Robert replied. That's why I'm here. They spoke long, but peace did not come. It never does when fire meets pride. The battle began at sunset. Dragons screamed. Fire fell, but scorpions roared back. 1 dragon was wounded, forced to land. Men died by the hundreds, yet the lines held. Ned commanded the center, calm even as death closed in. Tywin crushed the flanks with brutal precision, and Robert charged straight at the fire. He fought like a man already dead. When the wounded dragon rose again, raging, it flew toward the city. Robert saw it and chose. He rode alone, straight into its path, shouting, waving his hammer, drawing its fury away from the walls. Fire consumed horse and ground. Men screamed his name. The dragon fell pierced, burning, but so did Robert. By the time Ned reached him, the king was dying. Robert smiled through blood. Did we hold? Ned's voice broke. Yes. Robert exhaled, relieved. Good. No more running. He looked at Tywin. Keep them together. Then his eyes closed. The dragons retreated. Daenerys withdrew, broken but alive. The war did not end, but Westeros survived. They buried Robert on a hill overlooking the city he never truly loved, but died to protect. The realm changed after that. Ned Stark returned north, named protector of the realm. ruling with quiet strength. Tywin Lannister remained in the south, not as a tyrant, but as a pillar hard, cold, necessary. Together they rebuilt. The Iron Throne remained, but it mattered less now, because far beyond the wall, the dead had begun to move. And when the first White Raven arrived, Ned Stark read it in silence. Then he sent it south. To Tywin Lannister, 3 words were written beneath the seal. We were right. Wolf and lion answered the call together, because Robert Baratheon had united them, and that changed everything.